And we're back with some more Arizona Coyotes franchise mode in FHM 10. And in this one, we have the playoffs of year number 4, starting out against the St. Louis Blues, who are 45, 32, and 5. It looks like they have a pretty deep roster, a lot of 3-star players. Of course, they have Matty Beniers as their star forward. He had 69 points in 79 games played this year. Robert Thomas, their captain, with 56 points. But it doesn't look like anything we can't handle. So let's get right into this on April 12th. Game number 1, sim game. That will be a 2-1 St. Louis victory. Shots are 31-28 in favor of St. Louis. 3 stars of the game are Lambos, Furcus, and Stenberg. First period, you have Nicholas Kovac for the St. Louis Blues, making it 1-0. Second period, you have no scoring. And then the third period, you have Jordan Kyrou making it 2-0 for St. Louis, but then Ivor Stenberg with the goal from Salminen and Furcus to make it 2-1, but that was not enough, unfortunately. Here we go into game number 2. That will be a 3-1 Arizona victory. There it is. Shots are 43-26 in favor of St. Louis once again, and 3 stars of the game are Christensen, Stenberg, and Lascelles with a .977 save percentage. And the first period, you have no scoring. Second period, you have Otto Stenberg getting the first goal of the game for St. Louis, making it 1-0. Followed up by a goal from Adam Bachquist from LaCroix and Christensen to make it 1-1. And then Rhett Sather on the power play later on in the period from Michkov and Kupari makes it 2-1. And then in the third period, early on, you have Clayton Keller with his first goal of the playoffs from Christensen to make it 3-1. And we are tied in the series at 1. Ooh, Rhett Sather down with an injury. And unfortunately, that is for 1 to 2 months with a neck laceration. So he is basically done for the playoffs, I would imagine, unless he's able to come back for the Stanley Cup final. But, you know, let's take it one round at a time here. So that means Will McLaughlin's getting in there. For some reason on the first defensive pair. So with the injuries to Veilleux, Sather, and Jaeger, we are definitely not looking our best right now. But you know what? We power through it. So here we go. Game number 3 will be a 4-3 St. Louis victory. Shots are 36-15 in favor of the St. Louis Blues. That's a rough outing for your Arizona Coyotes. 3 stars of the game: Beniers, Fedorov, and Boehm. In first period, we actually score first. Adam Bachquist from Clayton Keller and Moritz Seider makes it 1-0. And then Moritz Seider on the power play, so we make it 2-0 from Salminen and Fedorov to make it 2-0. But then Thomas and Beniers with goals of their own to make it tied at 2 heading into the second period, where Fedorov scores from Bachquist and Keller to make it 3-2. And then in the third period, TJ Ginla and Reed Anderson score for St. Louis to give them the 4-3 victory. And yeah, that was... I mean, we held the lead twice in the game, so that was, despite our lack of shots, that was certainly a winnable game, I think. So we are down 2-1 in the series now, heading into game 4, and hopefully we can make it tied at 2 here. Come on, boys. All right, there it is. 2-1 win. I'll take it. Not the prettiest win, but I will certainly take it. A win's a win. Shots at 38-31 in favor of St. Louis once again. So they continue to outshoot us, but we got the job done this time. 3 stars of the game: Seider, Cormier, and William Lascelles with a .974 save percentage. He certainly is going to be key, it seems, in this series. First period, no scoring. Second period, Quinn Kennedy with the goal for St. Louis makes it 1-0. And then Adam Bachquist for us roughly a minute later from Keller and LaCroix to make it 1-1. No scoring in the third, meaning we're headed to overtime, where Paul Ludvinsky, the trade acquisition from Calgary, gets it done in overtime from Ruck and Seider to make it the 2-1 victory. All right, here we go into game 5, tied at 2 in the series. Pivotal game 5. That will be a 2-1 St. Louis victory. Yikes. I mean, these are some really close games. Shots are 37-29, so we finally outshoot them, but unfortunately we could not get much past Connor Ingram there, who had that .973 save percentage as the third star of the game. Other stars of the game are Kyrou and Zellweger. And in first period, you have Otto Stenberg getting the first goal of the game for St. Louis. Second period, you have Jordan Kyrou 4 seconds into the period to make it 2-0, and then Nicholas Christensen with our lone goal of the game from Zellweger and LaCroix. No scoring in the third, of course, and yeah, this is not looking good. We got to win 2 in a row here, and each game so far, for the most part, has been actually very close. As we look back, game number 1, 2-1 loss. Game number 2, 3-1 win. So that was kind of close. Game number 3, 4-3 loss. Game number 4, 2-1 win. Game number 5, 2-1 loss. Each game has been so close. So I don't like the fact that we have to win 2 in a row here. We gotta make it work, because that's what good teams do. So we're going into this one, and let's hope for the best. Come on, Arizona. Oh, wow. Major injury for Connor Ingram. He has been shutting the door for St. Louis for the most part in this series. So that that might play a pivotal part here in game number 6 and game number 7. You don't like to wish an injury on any player, but you have to wonder how this series is going to turn out now due to that. Oh, and of course, St. Louis gets a goal. Our former player, Cohen Zimmer, gets a goal on us, coming back to bite us from Boehm, and Cormier makes it 1-0 for St. Louis. Come on, Arizona. Second period time. Get something going here. Oh, man. Are we about to be shut out by, what's his name? Mikko Hamalainen? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Oh, man. Anton Salayev with the goal to make it 2-0 St. Louis. But Kevin He with the goal to answer right back from Marcus Ruck and Paul Ludvinsky. Makes it 2-1. Come on, Arizona. There it is. Nicholas Christensen, the free agent acquisition, makes it 2-2 from LaCroix and Keller. Come on, Arizona. Come on, Arizona. Robert Thomas with the goal with 8:02 remaining. Come on. There it is. Adam Bachquist from Jagger Firkus and Victor Fedorov. Stay in this, boys. Oh, man. Jordan Kyrou with the 4-3 goal from Stenberg and Ride. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Otto Stenberg with the goal to make it 5-3, and that's it. We cannot seem to get out of the first round for some reason. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Shots are 45-41, so we outshot them. 3 stars of the game are Iginla, Bachquist, and Ride. Obviously, first and second period weren't too active, but the third period is when things really opened up there, and unfortunately, we could not seem to get it done like they did. And we are once again left scratching our heads going into this offseason. And this time we can't even say it was against Chicago either. It was against St. Louis. And they were certainly a team that we could have performed well against. I mean, Bachquist and Keller with 5 points, so they did well. Christensen and LaCroix with 4 points. 3 points for Cedar and Fedorov. Then it drops off to Ludvinsky, Ruck, Firkus, and Salminen only with 2 points. Firkus could have definitely done better. He could have done better overall this year in terms of goal scoring as well. Only 27 goals during the regular season. Hopefully he picks it up next season, especially now that his extension is going to be kicking in, right? Then you have Sather, He, Stenberg, Kupari, Michkov, and Zellweger all with 1. The rest with none. Jaeger with 0 points and 0 well, obviously he was injured. Yeah, that was rough. The injuries obviously did not help to, Veilleux, Sather, Jaeger. So we were missing a lot of our best play. Like those are 3 key players that we were missing right there in Sather, Veilleux, and Jaeger, all 3.5-star players. So you could argue that if we had them in the roster that maybe we would have won, but that's not an excuse. Every team has injuries. Every team has to go through that. So we got to find a way to do it. Whether that's getting more depth or getting more star power, I don't know yet. We'll see what the offseason holds for us. But overall, pretty rough. William Lassell, I will say, though, did very well during these playoffs. As we see, .935 save percentage. He definitely kept us in that series when there was, no other scoring going on. So he definitely redeemed himself from last year's playoffs when he did not have the greatest performance, only at .892 save percentage last year in 6 games played, but this year a .935. So I'm very comfortable with how William Lassell is doing, and I hope he sticks around for as long as possible. But as for everybody else, I don't know. I don't know yet. I think our playoff run from 3 years ago was a second round exit, if I'm not mistaken. And that's when we got kicked out by Chicago for the first time. But the past 2 years have been first round exits, and that does not sit well with me. We're definitely going to have to take a look at this roster this offseason and consider the future of a couple of players. I'm just so nervous about Clayton Keller's drop off because he's 34 now, and he's going to be, I'm pretty sure, 35 heading into next season, right? Yeah, July 29th is his birthday. He's going to be 35 next season. To be honest, I do not want to see him drop even to a 3-star. If he does, then that contract of his is going to be trouble. Might also have to consider the future of guys like Bachquist and Cedar as well, right? Because they're 32. They're not getting any younger. They're making a decent amount of money as well going into next season. Kupari's probably not going to be re-signed just because, once again, he's getting up there in age. I would like to move in a younger direction, and not to mention the disappointments that we've had over the past few years. I mean, I guess it all depends on what's available, right? It all depends on what's out there. I don't want to make moves just for the sake of making moves, but it certainly feels like this team needs a shake up at this point because we're clearly not getting it done. And maybe we consider the future of Andre Tourigny as well. I mean, it seems like he's a great coach in terms of developing players. I mean, he's got phenomenal coaching ratings across the board. And his player management is at 19, motivation is at 16, tactics is at 16. So you would think he's a really good coach, but is he the right coach for this team? I would like to think so, but the past few years have been questionable during the playoffs. That might also be something to consider as we head into this offseason. Actually, let's see. Yeah, Tourigny's contract is coming up this year, so that's definitely something to heavily consider. Yeah, I think we're releasing all these guys who are upcoming FAs here because after the past few years, I really have no desire hold on to anyone who's underperforming. But I think with that, there's not really much else that I can do at the moment. So I guess we will just simulate through and see who wins the Stanley Cup. And your Stanley Cup champions for 2032-33 are the Minnesota Wild. This is their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. They went through Chicago, St. Louis, Anaheim, and Columbus. So now let's take a quick look at the stats around the league. You have Connor Bedard leading the league in goals with 44. Adam Beckman leading the league in assists with 62. So he was tied with Macklin Celebrini, who looks to have finally gotten his career together because he was struggling for quite some time there. He had 3 seasons straight of 26 points maximum, then all of a sudden gets 83, then 38, 31, and 78. So his career has certainly been all over the place, it seems, so far. Then Connor Bedard leads the league in points with 101. He also leads the league in shots with 338. Oliver Lawrence leads the league with a plus-minus of +38. Let's see, goalie leaders. You have William Maslow, of course, leading the league with 42 wins. Goals against, you have 222 for Kevin Sampson. Goals against average, you have Jake Oettinger with a 2.54. Save percentage, you have a 923 for Oettinger. And Oettinger had 9 shutouts as well. I think he's probably going to end up getting the Vezina there. Or at least that's what it seems like. He also had the highest goal saved above average. So yeah, I would imagine it's going to Oettinger this year. All right, so we actually have 4 coaches whose contracts are expiring this year. Joel Kwiatkowski, who is our skill coach, John Madden, Mike Yeo, and Andre Tourné. So basically, almost all of our coaches are expiring this year besides our goalie coach, who we recently hired on, I believe. The question is, are there going to be better options than the guys that we have right now in the coaching free agency? I mean, when it comes to developing prospects, Tourné is amazing. Like, he has his coaching ratings are phenomenal, but the lack of success in the playoffs the past 3 years is not something I'm a fan of. I think I will be replacing Joel Kwiatkowski as our skill coach with someone who is in free agency, Jarkko Ruutu. He's got 19 physical ratings, so I believe that is much better than Kwiatkowski's rating of, I think it's 15 or 16. And then coaching prospects is 16, player management is at 15, so he's got everything he needs to be a solid skill coach. So we're going to hire him on. Yep, there you go. So he is definitely an improvement over Joel Kwiatkowski. So that being said, I will reject Kwiatkowski's extension. Of course, his preferences are different than Kwiatkowski's, but maybe that would, maybe we could stand to have a bit of a change there. And he's still got the physical preference as well, but he's just got the standard compared to the defensive preference of Kwiatkowski. So maybe that's what we need, a little bit of a fresh perspective of Jarkko Ruutu. I'm thinking maybe Marco Sturm for the offensive coach. He's got an offensive preference, balanced physical preference, aggressive line matching tendency. I like that. He prefers veterans, so I don't really like that too much, but it's not like he's going to be our head coach. However, ignoring the fact that he prefers veterans, his coaching prospects is at 18, so he is capable of coaching prospects for sure. Coaching forwards is at 16, and everything after that's just really well-rounded. Player management at 16, motivation 15, tactics at 15, so he looks like he could be a good offensive coach. I think we will hire him on. I mean, he's going to be very expensive, though. I mean, yeah, he's rated as a head coach, so I guess that makes sense. So maybe I'll keep looking in that case. I mean, I'm still considering him, but want to see if there's anyone who's similar to him that would be much cheaper. Let's see, would Marco Sturm be better than Madden in terms of his coaching ratings? I mean, not across the board. I think Madden is slightly better with coaching forwards and then coaching defensive skills. However, Sturm does have the 18 coaching prospects. He also has some unique preferences compared to Madden. I believe Madden is defensive and then everything else is balanced, whereas Sturm has the aggressive line matching tendency, which I do like, and the offensive preference as an offensive coach. It's just that he would cost so much as an assistant coach. That's the only thing hanging me up right now. I mean, we technically have the budget for it. We have almost $5 million in money remaining, but keep in mind, we also have to save some for whoever our head coach is going to be, whether that's Andre Tourné or someone else. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I think I'm going to make Mike Yeo our offensive coach because he's actually a better offensive coach than Madden is. Because if you take a look at his offensive skills, 20. So I think he would do better in the offensive coach role than John Madden has. So we turn Mike Yeo into our offensive coach. And then what we're going to do to replace Yeo as the defensive coach, we're going to be going after Jeff Blashill. So he is a defensive coach, defensive preference. He does have the passive line matching tendency, but it's not like he's going to be our head coach. So I suppose that doesn't really matter. And when you take a look at his ratings, coaching defense is at 17, prospects is at 16, defensive skills is at 18, player management is at 15, and then his offensive skills are nothing to laugh at either at 15. So I think he would be a pretty good defensive coach. Once again, another fresh perspective from a new assistant coach. So we have hired him on as our defensive coach. And then I think we're going to release Madden. I'm going to reject that. And then we will extend Yo. And now the big one, Andre Tourney. What to do about him. Here's my thought process on the head coach. I like head coaches that have aggressive line matching tendencies, and he does not have that, unfortunately. But he's so good with those coaching ratings. He's so good at developing players. So that's where I'm struggling to make a decision here. At the moment, there are only 2 coaches on the market who meet all of my criteria, and that is Marco Sturm and Brad Larson. Both of them are very different from Mr. Andre Tourney. Larson prefers prospects while Sturm prefers veterans. They both have the aggressive line matching tendency. Sturm prefers offensive. Larson is standard offensive preference. However, Larson has the physical preference compared to Sturm's balanced preference for physical preference. Larson's ratings are very well rounded. Nothing's less than a 14 besides negotiating, which doesn't really matter for him. And then nothing's higher than a 16, while Marco Sturm, he has got an 18 in there for coaching prospects. Basically everything else is pretty well rounded as well. So it's really just a matter of whose preferences do you prefer? Or do you just want to stick with Andre Tourney? Like, if it wasn't for his sky high coaching ratings, then I wouldn't be opposed to replacing Andre Tourney, but it's those coaching ratings are very, very good. That's better than basically anybody else on the market right now. So that's the only reason I'm hesitant. There's also Matt Becca, who has 18 player management, 16 tactics, 14 motivation. His coaching ratings aren't great, but I like his preferences. Ugh. I've been deliberating for the better part of a half hour here over Andre Tourney, and I keep coming back to Marco Sturm, but even I'm just not 100% sold on when it comes to developing players. Because his ratings are good enough for sure. Like all of his coaching ratings are definitely serviceable. It's just that Tourney's are so good that I'm just like very hesitant to give that kind of player development ability up. But at the same time, the team as a whole has not been seeing much success as of the past 3 years. And if we hire Sturm as our head coach, then our entire system is going to be just flipped on its head. Like it's going to be, everything is going to change. We're going from defensive to offensive. We're going from balanced line matching to aggressive line matching. It's going to be very different from how Andre Tourney has been running the team. And of course, there's the possibility, there's the risk that we might end up becoming worse if we hire Marco Sturm. But I think sometimes that's a risk you have to take, right? There's a chance that this might not work out. But honestly, I think I want to take the risk of hiring Marco Sturm as our next head coach. Of course, we can't do that right now as Mr. Tourney is still on the team. But I think come July 1st, we are going to approach Marco Sturm, because it's not like I can release Tourney right now anyway. I mean, I technically can, but I don't want to have to pay that $450,000. And I also don't want to have the impact on my job security. Not that that really matters anyway, because I can't be fired. But still, I would prefer to keep that pretty high up there, because, you know, it looks good. So I think that's what we're going to do heading into July 1st. So I think with that finally being decided, let's advance to the NHL awards. And time for the awards for the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Maurice Richard. This time it is Connor Bedard instead of Connor McDavid. McDavid still had a pretty good year, but not nearly as good as most of his previous years. This is the first time since the 2019-20 season that he did not eclipse 100 points. And of course, you could argue that if he played a full 82, then he may well have. But it's also worth noting that he's getting up there in age now. He's 36. So I suppose it makes sense that Connor Bedard now starting to take over the scoring. And then you have the Lady Byng Trophy going to Matt Boldy. Rasmus Dahlin gets the Bell Masterton. Mark Messier Leadership Award goes to Austin Matthews. And the Jennings Trophy goes to Jake Oettinger. I mean, that was kind of expected. And I expect him, honestly, to get the Vezina. Obviously, William Lassell has the nomination, but it's going to be Oettinger. It's pretty much guaranteed to be Oettinger with how many categories he was leading in there. And for the heart between Bedard, McDavid, and Stützle, it is Connor Bedard with 101 points in 82 games played. For the Conn Smythe, it is Kyle Masters of the Minnesota Wild with 16 points in 21 games played. For the Calder between Marcus Blomberg, Mark Lovering, and Felix Forsberg, it is Mark Blomberg of Vancouver with 43 points in 68 games played. For the Norris between Adam Fox, Vincent Murray, and William Scott, it is William Scott of Tampa with 59 points in 79 games played. For For the Selkie between Jaden McCord, Nicholas Christensen, and Lucas Reichel. Come on, Christensen. And it is Jaden McCord of Anaheim with 51 points in 81 games played. For the Vezina between Adam Gagin, Jake Oettinger, and William Lassell. Yeah, I was going to say I'd be very surprised if it was not Jake Oettinger. And Executive of the Year between Pierre Dorian, John Chaika, and Daniel Briere. It is Danny Briere of Philly with 42 wins. And the Jack Adams between Adrian Mayfield, Dan Heinold, and Jeff Halpern. It is Adrian Mayfield of Columbus with 49 wins. And William Lassell made the second All-Star team, and Adam Salminen made the All-Rookie team. So good to see a couple of our players there, but didn't seem we really got anything notable this year in terms of awards. And now that it's June 23rd, let's take a look at which of our prospects' rights are expiring and see if we want to sign any of them. No. Kasatikov, maybe. Yeah, okay, I'll sign Kasatikov as some depth, but I can't imagine he's going to be much. Yeah, basically nobody else who is expiring is getting signed, just Kasatikov. Then I guess you also have Jason Foyston, who is now a 1.5 star talent. Still got a ways to go, though. I'm not going to sign him right now, I don't think. Tuarila, to a 1-star ability, 3.5 star potential. Yeah, I think I'll leave him unsigned for right now as well. Raymond Armstrong kind of taking his time there. So yeah, I think we're just going to leave the rest of our prospects alone for right now. And here's our end of season report. We reached the playoffs, had a winning season, a winning percentage of 600 or better, and finished first. No negative categories and a longevity bonus of 3. Total season scores at 27. Total career scores so far at 99. So I think I will keep increasing head coach ratings here gradually. I mean, I don't think my head coach ratings are at a point right now where I would feel comfortable taking over in place of Andre Tourigny, but definitely still want to work on them for the future just in case things don't work out. All right, we are on July 1st, and that means we're going to go ahead and sign Marco Sturm to be our head coach. For right now, we're just going to go 2 seasons. We'll see how it goes, and if he does well, then we'll give him an extension. So there you go, Marco Sturm, now hired on as the head coach of your Arizona Coyotes. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at our roster and see what we need out of this offseason. In goal, obviously, you have Lassell and Kosa. A solid 1-2 punch right there. On defense, you have Veyu, Sather, Bachquist, Cedar, Zellweger, Salminen, McLaughlin, and Fortescue. So in terms of numbers, we're fine, but do we want to make any trades? We'll see. At forward, you have Christensen, Furcus, Keller, LaCroix, Fedorov, Jaeger, Michkov, Barrett, He, Stenberg, Burkoyev, Ruck. So once again, we're good in terms of numbers. Maybe we could use one more forward because we do have, 8 defensemen. And somehow Clayton Keller has not lost his 3.5 star ability just yet, but he's really getting close. I think we do have to consider possibly moving him, especially if the salary cap gets out of control. I mean, we're at 80 mil right now, so that doesn't leave us much room for possible free agent signings unless we trade guys like Cedar or Bachquist, right? Which I was considering doing anyway. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to consider in this offseason. This is a very turbulent time for the Arizona Coyotes. Certainly a lot of change going on. We had a lot of change last offseason, and it looks like there's going to be even more change this offseason. So real quick, we'll just check out the free agent pool. There's Keaton Verhoff. We saw him on the trade block earlier. He has made it to free agency. So let's just take a look at how much he's wanting. Only 7.8 for 5 years. That's not bad, especially for a player of his skill level. Yeah, that's not bad. But the question is, can we free up enough cap space to make it work? I mean, you could always trade Cedar and Bachquist, right? Who are getting up there in age. And Verhoff's only 25, so that would certainly be a welcome change if we could do it. Then there's also Gavin, who's only 26. Looks like he's a pretty solid forward. 71 points last year with Buffalo. So certainly a lot to consider, and I think we're going to leave it off there. There's a lot to take in and a lot to decide on. So I'll leave you guys off here, and in the next one we will go through the year 4 offseason with your Arizona Coyotes.